All right, and welcome everybody to SportsLine here on News Channel 5 Plus. John Burton, happy to be with you. We're here for the entire hour. Your phone calls are welcome. Love to hear from you tonight. You can also tweet me at NC5_John Burton or at John Burton 32, or you can tweet the show at NC5_Plus. Would love to hear your feedback tonight. We got football tomorrow, folks. The Tennessee Titans getting set to play preseason game number 1 in Green Bay against the Packers. We'll get a first-time look at head coach Mike Vrabel, how he manages a game, new offensive coordinator Matt LaFleur, new defensive coordinator Dean Pease, and some of the new players on this Titans roster. You figure the starters probably won't play all that much, maybe a quarter at best, but should be interesting now that the Titans have undergone a new era, if you will, with Mike Vrabel and his staff. I'll be paying special attention to the wide receiver group of the Titans to see how they fare as they go along. So we'll talk much more about the Titans as the hour goes along. But first, I thought we'd have a little fun and start with HBO's Hard Knocks. This year's team to be featured is the Cleveland Browns. Episode 1 aired last night on HBO. A lot of interesting stuff going on there. So we thought we'd bring in, he joins us now live, I believe, from Progressive Field in downtown Cleveland, Ohio, where he's covering tonight's Indians-Twins game. We bring back one of the good guys, one of my favorite guys in the business, Emmett Golden from ESPN 850 WKNR in Cleveland. Goldie, great to have you back on the show, man. Thanks so much for jumping on.
No, hey, I love joining you. Whenever you need me, just hit me up.
How's the Tribe doing tonight?
They're at 2-1 right now in the 5th inning, so hopefully they can hold on to that lead with the way the bullpen performance moves. It feels pretty good right now.
Yeah, that bullpen's gotten a lot better, and you still getting Andrew Miller back at some point. You made the guys Cleveland made some nice trades there to shore up that bullpen. I got to tell you, Emmett, I'm a big Yankee fan. But, man, you take a look at where the Yankees are right now. They lost 4 in a row in Boston over the weekend, so it doesn't look like they're going to win the AL East, and they may have to be in that one-game playoff. Nobody's really talking about the Indians right now, but with their starting pitching, that lineup with Frankie Lindor and Ramirez and Edwin Encarnacion et al., and their bullpen's getting better. You're going to get Andrew Miller back. Boy, I tell you what, the Indians are, to me, are a very strong team, and they have as much chance as anybody to come out of the American League and go to the World Series.
Yeah, well, fortunately enough, they play in the AL Central. They, didn't come out the gate blazing, but their division has allowed them to kind of put the pieces together. And when it comes to the playoffs in baseball, it's who's playing the best at that time. And I think the Indians are putting it together right now, where they'll definitely be a big-time threat once the playoffs start.
Emmett Golden is our guest from ESPN Radio in Cleveland. All right, should we get the LeBron James questions out of the way, Emmett? Should we just go ahead and do that?
Yeah, take me out of my business.
All right, the last time we talked, it was the night before Game 1 of the NBA Finals, Cavs and Warriors for a 4th straight year. Obviously, that series didn't turn out the way either one of us wanted to. The Cavs get swept in 4 games. And then a couple of weeks later, LeBron James announces he's leaving Cleveland again, this time to go to Los Angeles to play for the Lakers. Emmett, as you know, I'm a big fan of your show and your station. I listen to you all the time. We're back and forth all the time on Twitter. You said it repeatedly during your show, and I agree with you. I don't think this is so much about LeBron wanting to win more championships or, attach more to his legacy. He just wanted to go to L.A. and play for the Lakers. I think he's thinking beyond basketball. Obviously, he's big in entertainment. He's got his finger in a lot of different pies. And obviously, Los Angeles, Hollywood is the entertainment capital of the world. And, he's got an opportunity to play for one of the most hallowed franchises in all the sports and to kind of learn under the wing of a great entrepreneur and a great global ambassador for basketball in Magic Johnson.
Oh, yeah. I think this is a situation where he said, you know what, I pretty much am who I am when it comes to the hierarchy of greatest ever. There'll be people that feel I am. There'll be people that will never put me over Jordan and some even Kobe. So, you know what, I'm gonna do something I've wanted to do, and that's play for one of the, historic franchises, the Lakers, the Knicks, somebody like that. And obviously having Magic out there made it that much more attractive championship. So I don't think it was personal to Cleveland, and I also don't think he said, let me go out there because it's the best chance I have to win titles, because all the moves that the Lakers have made up to this point, the Cavs could have made those moves too. You know, they signed a bunch of guys to 1-year veteran minimum deals. So if it was a situation where he wanted to win more titles, he didn't really have to leave anywhere. But I just think he wanted to go out there and just have a different chapter of his life. And I think most people in Cleveland handled it a lot better this time than they did the first.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you know, I'm not going to be one of those guys. I'm sure you've done tons of these types of interviews ever since LeBron made his decision, and I'm sure they've all asked you, well, what's the reaction in Cleveland? I know what the reaction is in Cleveland is because, again, I listen to your station all the time, and it seems like the majority of the fans were, you know what, we're a little disappointed. Some were angry, but at the end of the day, hey, if this is what you want to do, LeBron, then go. Oh, by the way, thanks for the championship you brought us in 2016.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. You know, remember, this city hadn't won a championship. I'm 38 in my lifetime for sure. They hadn't won one, and then a couple of years ago, he breaks that curse, and he wins one here in Cleveland. So everyone's really grateful for that because we've said it time and time again. We just want a championship. Well, LeBron provided that. So, hey, man, wish you nothing but the best, and I look forward to seeing that 23 hanging in the rafters and a statue, because it'd be ridiculous if he didn't have a statue here in Cleveland.
No question about it. Emmett Golden is our guest. All right, we got that out of the way. I want to talk about Hard Knocks. Episode 1 premiered last night. I've been looking forward to this ever since it was the Browns that were announced to be this year's team. If you follow football, you know the story. 0-16 last year, 1-15 the previous year. The Cleveland Browns are a team that a lot of people are curious about this year. Can they string together some wins? Can Hugh Jackson keep his job? I'm just curious to know what your overall thoughts of Hard Knocks episode 1 last night.
Well, I love Hard Knocks every year, whether I'm invested in the team or not. I just think HBO does a great job of storytelling and following a team. The fact that it was the Browns, I absolutely loved it. It was. I get a lot of access anyway in this season this year in Cleveland. We do our shows from training camp every day out here, so we see a lot. And with Hard Knocks, we're still able to see things we see that the media don't get to see. So you saw great exchanges with coaches, just kind of questioning each other and having real conversations. And you saw the guys, in the locker room and moving, having fun and having just a conversation. I thought it was great, and it really just built back the curtain, gave a look into who these guys are. Everybody always saw their terrible team, but now you're getting to know these guys on a personal level. And I think that'll change the way a lot of people think about the Cleveland Browns.
And one of the things I haven't told you about myself is that I spent 11 and a half years in Pittsburgh covering the Steelers and went to many a Browns-Steelers game either in Cleveland or in Pittsburgh. And one of the things I always felt the Browns were lacking was leadership amongst the players. But you have a guy like Jarvis Landry shown last night basically talking to the players saying, we have to be more mentally tough, more physically tough. You look at a guy like Todd Haley, who's not afraid, as you said, to kind of question Hugh Jackson's tactics when it comes to players and practicing. You look at a guy like Christian Kirksey, who's taken a leadership role. I feel like for the first time in a long time, there's a good group of true leaders for the Cleveland Browns. And I think that could go a long way this season in terms of turning their fortunes around. Obviously, Joe Thomas, their outstanding left tackle, he's going to the Hall of Fame. He was a terrific player. Maybe not the most vocal leader, but now you have guys that are willing to step up and, for lack of a better term, get in guys' faces and get them going a little bit. I think that's a good thing for the Browns going forward.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. They haven't had that guy to verbally hold their teammates accountable. And what you saw from Jarvis Landry last night on HBO, although he did it with a profanity-laden...
he owes about $50 in the swear jar after that, Emmett.
I think you're being nice. I would say more like $500, but, maybe our tip jars are a little higher price. I don't know, but he really let him have it, but I found that interesting because Jarvis doesn't talk like that. So he had to really be upset, and his teammates know that's not Jarvis. Jarvis is one of those let's go guys. Hey, rah-rah dudes, but I've never seen him, at least on the practice field, yell at a teammate. Typically, he's always encouraging it. So I think last night when you saw him say, hey, Coach, I need to say something, I think the rest of his teammates were blown away by it and said, whoa, like if Juice is doing this, if he's really this upset, then maybe we need to check ourselves. And I love the last picture, last frame after Jarvis sits down, they show Antonio Callaway with a look on his face like, whoa, that was intense. And, I don't know how many people down there know, but then Callaway was busted Saturday night, early Sunday morning on a traffic stop and had marijuana in his car. So it's just kind of like, oh, I can't wait till next week and see what happens there because the team had no idea, and that was a huge story yesterday. I kind of watched it all unfold on the practice field, and I can't wait to watch it unfold on Hard Knocks.
Yeah, your own Tony Grossi broke that story just as practice was starting yesterday. And actually, down here in Tennessee, Emmett, Antonio Callaway is a guy that Tennessee Vols fans are very familiar with. He had a big catch and run for the go-ahead touchdown a couple of years ago down in the swamp to beat Tennessee on a 4th and forever. And that extended Florida's win streak over Tennessee. So Vol fans are very familiar with Antonio Callaway. Obviously a very talented player, but a guy that is having his issues. And another guy that's having his issues is another really talented wide receiver, Josh Gordon, still not in camp as far as I know. Do you think, or have you heard, is the fact that Hard Knocks is there as a possible distraction for Josh Gordon? Is that a reason maybe why he's not there at camp yet?
It's a huge reason that I think people want to believe. I think that's like, hey, we can explain this away. I don't buy into that. I mean, he performs in front of 70,000 people, on a regular basis. He takes plenty of videos of himself working out, so he's not camera shy. He's not afraid of people. I have my theories. I think something did happen. What? I'm not sure, but I think something did happen in the NFL, knowing that they suspended him time and time again and nothing's changed. That I believe they tried to take a different approach, and they said, we'll have you step aside for a little bit, but we'll allow you back. It just doesn't add up. And even watching Hard Knocks, you saw, Hugh go, hey, Josh is going to be out for the first part of training camp. Yeah, that to me that makes it sound like Hugh kind of knows what's going on, and that Josh let him in on his plans that there is a return. It's just that no one wants to say it for sure. And if he comes back, then that's great. But we've learned here at Cleveland, you just can't count on Josh.
Talking with Emmett Golden from ESPN 850 WKNR in Cleveland. Hard Knocks debuted last night. This year's team, the Cleveland Browns. And Emmett, I thought one of the most interesting moments of last night's Hard Knocks, one that really tugged at my heartstrings, was seeing Hugh Jackson trying to deal with coaching this football team and dealing with a loss of 2 family members within days of each other. And I can certainly relate. I've experienced the loss of both of my parents. I'm very familiar with your background and your story as well. I know there are a lot of Browns fans in Cleveland right now that aren't the biggest fans of Hugh Jackson after 1-31, but I thought it was important for the HBO cameras to show that and show the human side of Hugh Jackson. This is a guy that, he's busting his butt every day trying to make things happen, and he's got a lot of distractions going on between Josh Gordon, between a couple of deaths in his family. So, I'm hoping, I don't know about you, but I'm hoping maybe the Browns fans can lighten up on Hugh a little bit.
And I think they will. What this showed, at least what it showed me, is even through his own personal adversity, where if he took a day off, everyone would understand. I believe he's been encouraged to take time off, but he's still there working every day, and that sets an example for his team that, hey, whatever you're going through, think about what I'm going through. I'm here later than you. I'm here earlier than you. So I'm setting the standard, and this is what I expect from this team. Now, hopefully guys follow that. And from a media standpoint and fan standpoint, yeah, I think we should kind of give Hugh a break at least until wins and losses count again and kind of judge him from there, because as you know, you listen to our station all the time, there are a lot of people that go for Hugh Jackson's head, and I get it. He's 1-31.
Right.
You can't really defend that. He is what his record is, but I think a lot of people, I think it humanized Hugh a little more last night, seeing just what he has been dealing with personally.
Final question for you, Emmett. We're talking, finishing up with Emmett Golden of ESPN 850 WKNR in Cleveland. Talk a little Hard Knocks, a little Cleveland Browns football. Obviously, one of the big stories that Hard Knocks will chronicle this summer is the quarterback situation. Obviously, Tyrod Taylor, who the Browns traded for, is going in number one on the depth chart. He will begin the season as the starter. Baker Mayfield, of course, was the number one overall draft pick. Surprised a lot of people, including me. How much pressure do you think is on the Browns organization to get Baker Mayfield into the starting lineup? Will we see another situation like we saw a few years ago with Brian Hoyer and Johnny Manziel, or are they going to ride Tyrod Taylor out as long as he's playing well, stays healthy, and, of course, wins?
Well, that's the million-dollar question. You know, I believe that they will stick with Tyrod until they're mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. Now, I know I can do the jokes around the country. Well, that starts week one. But I can hear it. I can hear it as we talk. But there won't be any pressure internally. There will be tons of pressure from the fans. The fans always love to draft the backup quarterback. And even though people are excited about Tyrod, once they drafted Baker, you already hear people, you got to put Baker. You got to put Baker. He's the number one pick. And I don't know why, because we've seen the Browns screw up literally every quarterback that they've drafted, ever. And they do that by putting them in too early. So I know internally they're going to do everything they can to keep Baker, from falling into that trap and learning and getting ready to take over this team when it's his time. But they're going to try and put that time off for as long as possible.
Yeah, the funniest part was listening to your producer and co-host Matt Fontana. I think it was last week. You brought up the scenario, hey, if Tyrod goes 12-0 and he's the leading candidate for MVP, when do you put Baker in? And Matt said, when he's ready, you put Baker in. So I don't know if you want to go that route, but we'll see. Hopefully that'd be a good problem for the Cleveland Browns to have. So we'll be keeping an eye on them during this year. Unfortunately, the Titans don't play the Browns this year. They have the last several years, but you know me, man, I'll be keeping an eye on Cleveland and hoping for the best up there. So all the best to you, man. I appreciate you jumping on. And again, goes without saying, but I'll say it again. I'm a big fan of yours, big fan of your stations. Aaron Goldhammer has still not followed me on Twitter, so please let him know that. And I appreciate you coming on, bro.
Yeah, hey, anytime, man, you need me, just hit me up. I'm here.
All right, go Tribe.
All right, take it easy.
All right. Emmett Golden from ESPN Radio giving us a little taste of what's going on in Cleveland with Hard Knocks as the Cleveland Browns are this year's team. All right, when we come back, we're going to bring it back closer to home, talk some Titans football. Preseason opener tomorrow night in Green Bay against the Packers. I want your thoughts. What do you expect? What are you hoping to see? Let's light these phone lines up. Let's get it going. I want Titans talk next segment from you. Stay with us.